When our life gets out of focus, it can be frustrating, irritating, and confusing. We know deep down that something is missing. Something is not right. The path doesn't seem clear or right. It's like looking at a blurry image that you're trying to identify what exactly it is, except that that blurry image is our life, our career, our business, our marriage, our relationships. And people of faith and congregations are not immune from losing their focus and their way. When it happens, we can choose to stay on the path that we're on or make the change, refocus, get back on track on the things that we value most. Today I want to talk about refocus. It's the second sermon on the series called New Year's Essential. Last week it was Remember. This week is Refocus. After several weeks, I am going to give you an exam. So focus and refocus. Our text is Jeremiah 6, verse 16, just one verse. And I read from the New Living Translation. This is what the Lord says. Stop by the crossroad and look around. Ask for the old godly way and walk in it. Travel its path and you will find rest for your souls. But you reply, meaning the people, this is a collective message. No, that's not the road we want. The prophet Jeremiah, the son of a priest, set apart and appointed by God to be a prophet, who spent 40 years preaching to Judah, the nation, the southern part. Israel was divided into two, 10 tribes in the north, 2 in the south. The nation had lost a spiritual way and focus on God. Jeremiah condemned the false worship, their social injustice, denounced the prophets and the priests for their greed and unsavory economic practices and unjust gains. He was deeply troubled by the spiritual and the social and political condition of the people of God during this time. He gives warning as God leads him as a prophet, over and over telling them from the north a powerful army will come down, an enemy, the Babylonians. They're going to come in, they're strong and powerful, ruthless and cruel. They will destroy the city and all that is within. Yet his audience was hostile and unsympathetic to his message. But Jeremiah felt the compassion and was persistent, hoping that the people will refocus and return back to God. And that's why you hear in this verse, this is what the Lord says. Stop at the crossroad, look around, ask for the old godly way. Some translations say, ask for the ancient paths and walk in it. Travel its path and you will find rest for your souls. He tells them, stop at the crossroad, an intersection of 2 roads or more, a place of decision that impacts the present and the future. An intercession is where we have to, that crossroads where we have to make some decision, often a turning point in our life. Do we take the step of faith, move forward, trust God or not? Do we make a change in the career and move to another company? Do we take the next level in the business and bring on another staff? Do we make some changes within the congregation so that we can be relevant and present in the 21st century in Naples? Crossroads. But he tells them, stop at the crossroad. Time out. Stop. Time. Pause. Don't move. Be still. Be still. Pause from the busyness and the crowds and the noise, what's in your head and outside of your head. Reflect on the path. Is this the way? Am I in the right path? Are we as the people of God going in the right direction? Or is there a better way, a righteous path that God wants for us as people of God? Was what Jeremiah is asking them to do. Stop, to refocus. Refocus means to focus again, in their case, on the ways of God, on the main thing of life and of faith. In 1961, the great golfer Arnold Palmer was at the final hole of the Masters tournament and had one stroke lead, had just hit a satisfying tee shot. He felt in pretty good shape and confident. As he approached the ball, he saw an old friend standing at the edge of the gallery, and he motioned over Arnold to come. And Arnold went over, stuck out his hand, and the gentleman said, "Congratulations." Arnold shook his hand, took his hand and shook it. But as soon as I began shaking that man's hand, his friend, he knew he had lost his focus. On the next two shots, he hit the ball into the sand trap. How many golfers that we have out here? It's not good, right? Then he put it over the edge of the green. He missed the putt, and guess what? He lost the Masters. He never forgot that. He never forgot that lesson and never did it again. He never took his eyes off the main thing. He stayed focused. And he refocused after that incident so that he would never lose a tournament, at least not under those terms. In our faith journey, there are many ways we lose our spiritual focus, and in life and in relationship. But I'll stand here and talk about spiritual issues. Worries and problems, unanswered prayers, money, power, pride, ego. I mean, the list can go on. The noise, what people say, don't say, what people do, don't do. So many things can easily distract us, and we lose the path. Jeremiah says, stop. And interesting, he says, look around. Pause, not only to reflect and refocus, but to look around and assess, where are you? And this is an important word as we begin the new year for ourselves and collectively for the church. There are going to be moments in the year where we're going to get distracted. We need to come back and assess, where are we in life, in relationship? Where are we in my health? Do I continue to eat all the steak that's before me? Or do I pause and say, I could only do that once in a while? Because who told you not to eat that besides your wife or your friend, your doctor? We pause. Is this the way that will ensure the well-being of our mind and heart? Look around. And wherever you have the crossroad, you could only see so much. But as spiritually speaking, God sees the whole picture. And that's the dynamic and the tension. The infinite sees where we're headed and can see where he'll take us. The finite, those of us, as I spoke on New Year's Eve, that need to number our days, for they are short, we look at it in a very myopic way and often can't see beyond the present. But God sees it all, and God saw all what was going on and what was to come to the tribe in the southern part of Israel. He says, ask for the ancient path, the godly way. That meaning the ways that were taught by Moses going back to the wilderness. A message of life over death. He says, when you get there, ask for that old way. Seek direction and guidance. I know, gentlemen, this is a hard thing for us to do. The wife says, you know where you're going. She knows you've been lost for half an hour. Yeah, I know where I'm going. I don't need GPS. Hard to sometimes ask for help. But when we ask God to help us, God responds. Psalmist writes in 16:11, Psalm 16:11, you will show me the way of life, granting me the joy of your presence and the pleasures of living with you forever. You will show me the way. If you don't ask, you never know. You never get it. That's a good salesman knows that you got to ask and ask and ask and not let rejection get in the way of asking. Sometimes, like the people of Judah, we persist going in certain direction no matter what, no matter where we are, because we feel we're so sure we're on the right path. We don't listen to God. We don't listen to no one. Nadie, as we say in Spanish. Nadie, nada. When we choose to do so, the consequences can be negative. We've all been there. It's like the incident of the battleship at sea in bad weather. The captain was on the bridge. It was foggy. Just after dark, the lookout spotted a light on the starboard side. The captain asked if it was steady or moving. The lookout replied the light was steady, meaning they were on a direct collision course with the ship. The captain ordered the lookout to signal the other ship. Change course 20 degrees. We're on a collision course. The signal came back. Advisable for you to change course. The captain replied, I am a captain. Change course 20 degrees. Back came the answer, I'm a seaman, second class. You better change your course 20 degrees. The captain was furious, upset. And he sent back the message, I'm a battlefield. Change the course. I'm a battleship. Change the course. And the seaman class responded, I am the lighthouse. How many times we do not adhere to the warning and change the course? It takes humility. It takes humility to ask direction, advice. It takes humility to seek the godly way when we have wandered off the path and headed in the wrong direction. In asking, we recognize there is wisdom beyond our own. There is wisdom beyond our own capacity. There is wisdom outside of us. And he gave him a simple answer: walk and travel in the path and you'll find rest. In other words, take the needed action, take responsibility, get back on the godly road. All you need to do is walk and travel on the path and trust God in the journey. This is the God that had delivered them from the Exodus and had been with them in the wilderness. Yet, like them, we often wander off the path. All we need to do is recognize we got off the path, accept the grace that calls us back, and take the path and find rest. It sounds simple, right? Sounds simple. The orders are simple. And yet, the most saddest part of this text, a thing that really moves me deep within, is their reply: no, that is not the road we want. The people refused and rejected God's direction. Thus, the consequences of their choice will be costly for the city of Jerusalem, for the family, for the young, for the children, for the soldiers, for the leaders, for the priests, for the prophets who preach false message. The desolation, exile will be the consequences. Destruction will come because they could not adhere to the old godly way. Friends, I close with this. Personal and spiritual crossroads require making a choice. There's always a choice. Looking at the options and deciding the path to walk in. Some people fear the unknown and prefer to stay on the road, missing the opportunity for growth and change. Making a choice, there's always a trade-off. You have to give up something to get something. Something must be let go. Letting go of our ways, our habits, our thoughts, our attitude, and even our fear can be overwhelming and difficult. That's why sometimes we stay in the most comfortable path that we're in. But with prayer and faith and humility, surrendering and wisdom, we can do it. John Maxwell writes, the difference between where we are and where we want to be is created by the changes we are willing to make in our lives. You have to be willing to make changes. Change is possible. I know many of us are afraid of change. But every day, you and I, our bodies are changing every single day. Nature is always in the process of evolving and changing. Changing is part of life. Change is possible when we lean on God to help and transform us. And with our choices at the crossroads, whether they're personal, spiritual, individual, or collective, have consequences. Every decision has an outcome, some more serious than others. The people chose not to take the godly path. May we choose wisely as people of faith and as a congregation of God to follow his way. May we choose to be led and governed by the teachings and the ways of the Lord. As the Hebrew author in chapter 12 reminds us, let us keep our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith. My friends, and when we miss and get off track, we will during this year, personal, professionally, spiritually, and even you guys and ladies who play golf, you're going to miss some of those too. Just refocus. Refocus on God's grace, on God's wisdom, God's kindness, and get back on track. Get back on track as a church, and get back on track as people of faith. Amen.